Hello, Tamily. Thank you for joining us for another special interview for the month of October. We are interviewing special Tamily warriors this month. This is our second one, and Amy will be our special guest today. This is interview 116 for Ask Tamily. Amy will be joining us in just one moment. Of course, we have questions planned, but please type some questions in the chat. Hi, Amy.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is fun.
Absolutely. I can't wait to get to know you a little bit better. Even though we got to know a little bit more about you in your video that just recently came out for supporting breast cancer awareness this month. So definitely thank you for sharing your journey with us and inspiring the Tamily.
Well, I've got to give a shout out of thanks to Sigrid from Sigrid is my name, her Instagram handle, because she's just brilliant and wonderful, and she knows that I'm not super put myself out there on camera, and she very lovingly encouraged me. And Alicia's just watching Alicia be so strong for everyone and allowing everyone to support her. It made it easy to say yes. So thank you for asking me.
Well, we're very glad that you did. So we'd like to get to know a little more, obviously, about you and your journey with the Tracy Anderson method. Let's start with one of our favorite questions, which is when and how did you start with the method?
Yeah, so my story's a little all over the board. So I found Tracy originally after I had my first child, Jonah. I was 38 and really just felt like I gotta, I had this, everybody was telling me you'll never bounce back because you're 38. Kind of, you never feel so old in your 30s until you get pregnant after the age of 35, and then everybody makes you feel like you're a fossil. So I was like, well, maybe they know something I don't. And I started, checking online, like, how do I get back in shape and blah, blah, blah. And I, of course, just like everybody else, came across Gwyneth and the article about Tracy getting her back into shape. And so I started Meta. So I did 3 months of Meta. And then 6 months later, or 6 months into that, I got pregnant again. And kind of, I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't realize there was a pregnancy project, but I didn't. Apparently, I was under a rock. So I stopped doing Tracy, started doing some other pregnancy workouts, had my son, and then I started doing I found her pregnancy project after I had Noah, but I also got kind of sick after I had Noah. Just a bunch of things started to go south. My adrenal glands flatlined, my vitamin D was obsolete. I felt really awful. And it was probably just the back-to-back pregnancies and a lot of other things in life. So I kind of fell off the Tracy bandwagon. So we'll say that. I kind of started going down rabbit holes of trying to get my health stabilized. And before I could do that, my husband got diagnosed with this crazy rare form of cancer that only 11 people in the world get diagnosed with a year. There's zero treatment for it. The life expectancy, 7% of people survive the first 2 years. There's no 5-year statistics for survival. And it just derailed our entire existence. My husband's still alive. I went head down into research. We ended up at MD Anderson at an amazing doctor that said, we're going to try something that's either going to kill you, either the treatment, the 3 options here, the treatment's going to kill you, the cancer is going to kill you, or you're going to survive. And nobody else would even see him. Nobody else would do anything. So we did that. It was a long, arduous, horrible, hard time, but we got through it, and he's alive. So all that to say, when we came out the other side of that, and it was several years, a couple of years, my health was worse than when we started, because it was just, running on that level of stress. I have these 2 boys that are 2 and 3. then 3 and 4, trying to start school, him not knowing what was going to, just the whole thing was just a lot. And I kind of hit this point. I had bought an infrared sauna to help him heal. And I was in the sauna one morning and I just felt, I just felt like this human that was not me anymore. Like everything, my energy was gone, my focus was gone, my body felt like somebody else's body. I just never, even when I went through cancer, I never felt as bad as I did in that moment in like every single way. And I'm a very faithful person, very prayerful. That's a big part of my life. And I don't know why I hadn't done it before, but at that point, I'm like, God, I know this sounds really stupid, but you got to show me what to do, how to get my life back. And it's the craziest thing because in the same moment in the sauna, it like popped into my brain. Like, why haven't I gone back to Tracy Anderson? So I started doing all this searching. Like I should have been working, and I think I spent that whole day realizing she had this online streaming platform, finding the Facebook page of the, first the original page that I think Tiffany started, then the streaming page. And I was signed up by that weekend and never looked back. And that was in 2016. So that was it. And it was literally the thing that helped me crawl back to life in so many ways. I don't know that I keep saying, Tracy, she's 5 years younger than me. She needs to way outlive me because she can't stop.
Totally agree with you on that. What an amazing journey that you've been through, and to, think of it in that moment. It was obviously meant to be.
Absolutely. I absolutely.
So what, as far as the method, is it about, Tracy, that you feel like makes the difference for you versus the other things that you tried?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I grew up a dancer, tap, ballet, jazz, character, all of it, from when I was about 4 or 5. I say it all the time, short of being a mom, there's nothing on earth that's ever made me feel as alive as being on stage. Just when that curtain opens and the music starts and that, I don't know, it's just, I loved it. And I did that well until to my early, just like through college. And then I was poor and I needed a job, and that was the end of that. And my dad was just beating it into my head. You're not going to make money dancing. You need to, I had gone to school for science, go do something, get a job, which I didn't end up in science, but that's a whole other thing. So anyway, I think first and foremost, there's the performance action, right? So I had done so many different forms of exercise, up to and including CrossFit, which was a disaster, let me just say, on every level for me. But the performance aspect, that starting from the first day where you've got to watch this choreography and mark it and move through it. And then you've got to find it in your body, and eventually you get to the point of performing. I think it speaks to me from that standpoint. Also, I get super bored super easy. I don't love doing the same thing over and over. I like a challenge. I like a change. And so the dynamic nature of what she does. Plus, I just think, I know the method is for everyone, and I firmly believe that, but for the way that I am built, I also think it is the exercise that never injures me. If I'm ever sore or uncomfortable, it's because of some imbalance I'm suddenly being enlightened to, that I'm not using my body correctly for, that I have to rethink and learn. So I think those things all just together, I know that people will say there's this like that, or, this is like the method. Mm-hmm. For me, nothing's like the method other than the method.
I feel exactly the same way. So what kind of results did you see, especially since you did it for a bit and then, had children and everything that you went through? Then what kind of results did you see after that?
So first and foremost, I felt, I felt myself starting to stand up straight and take deep breaths again, which I think from all the stress, I had just really started doing, when you put everything down in your gut, you tend to start to curl in. Mm-hmm. Without even standing up. I would see pictures of myself from like work photos and be like, what, something's off. Why do I look different the way I'm standing? I was never opening my heart, if you will, or taking a deep breath. And so first that came, and it just, I think that in my energy levels started to come back. But then it was just the finding the joy and the meditation in it. And now it's, my kids are boys, they're 10 and 11, and they are loaded with energy. And I realized that, like, they tell me, Mom, you can do that because you work out with Tracy. They think they know her personally. And they actually think that I have more energy and am stronger than them, which is hilarious, right? But, you know, that works for me. I don't want them to see, because, you know, I'm older than many of their friends' mothers. And I don't want them to think I've got an old mom. I want them to think I've got a healthy mom and a strong mom and a mom that's going to be in it with me for the long haul. So I think it's all of those things that it eventually graduated to.
Yeah, that's such a great point, especially to, you know, the whole mom guilt factor of feeling like you can't spend the time on yourself every single day, and knowing like actually you really have to, because it really, really matters to them.
It's true. And it's, you know, they love it. They know I've got my Tam cave. They know the setup. They know it's my time. But I also, for me, I'm a morning person anyway, and my work, by the time I would get done with my work, it used to be come home, but now, you know, just get done since our office has moved to work from home for now. It was just too much. Them with homework, them after school. I wanted the time with them, and it got ridiculous. So I get up earlier than everybody. So, you know, it's that they see that too. They see me finding a space that works and going to bed earlier so that I can have the energy, so I'm not compromising sleep. I think it's like a whole, you know, I really feel like they see it, and I hope that they model that for themselves as they get older and make choices that are not just selfishly for themselves, but for themselves for the right reason, but also keeping in context of the other people you serve in your life.
Yeah, exactly. That's such an important like message about wellness. Um, who in the Tamily inspires you?
Um, so there's a lot of folks, and it's, my motivation is, there's nobody that's ever going to be harder on me than me. That's just the way that I've been wired since birth. So I don't know that it's inspiration in the same way. Like, I don't see somebody working out great. That's where the inspiration comes from. It's more people watching certain people's lives, the way they think, the way they do things, that make me want to think different or learn more. So, for instance, you know, somebody like Tigrid, the way she runs, she had an idea for a leggings business. She followed through on that, but then the way she runs her business model so collaboratively with other women in the Tamily or other businesses that do the same thing versus competitively, you know, being in the business world, people don't do that. So that is an inspiration to me. In the background, my oven just cooked on because after this, I'll be making dinner, and we have pizza for dinner as our Sunday dinners for the kids. And I was inspired by Malgo in Poland to learn how to make sourdough 3 years ago. So it has been the gift that keeps on giving to my family in many, many ways. Anna, I think our handle's Balanced by Anna. You know, she and I kind of think a lot about the workout the same way. So every week, you know, she gets there first because of the time zone and gives me her thoughts, and it gets my mind thinking when I get in there, and we talk about all the different things that are happening, and, you know, that's inspiration. And then it's total opposite things like Miriam, who is so social and so like out there and bringing people together. And I am never going to be wired that way, but it inspires me to watch someone that brings so much joy. So there's just, I could go on, but it's that kind of thing. I mean, and if I could just say that one of the most inspirational people to me right now that I keep on thinking about is Suri. And the fact that she shared that, you know, she's a Democrat, and she married a Republican, and they are married and love each other and have a family. Yeah. And to me, right now in this world we live in, that is hugely inspirational, that we don't have to agree on everything and we can still love each other.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's something that's so cool too about the Tamlink community is, we have a link because we do the same workout, and that usually means we're pretty dedicated. So there's some like similarities, but then we're all so incredibly different from each other. Like,
Yes.
that's part of why I get so much inspiration from these interviews. It's like you learn more about those different lives with someone that you already feel connected to, but it gives you different viewpoints, different experiences.
Yeah, totally agree. I think that's what I love the most is that, the ladies that I talk to the most, we are literally across the gamut from our faith, our countries, our political views. I mean, some of us are married, some of us aren't, some of us have children, some of us don't. Some of us work in the home, some of us work out of the home.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, and none of that matters at the end of the day. We all share openly, and we can disagree without it being a personally negative event. That it's a beautiful thing, and I see that across our this group, and there's definitely something about the method that either it's bringing out the best in all of us, or it draws the best of us.
Right, exactly. I always say it's an elite workout for elite people, but Um, do you have any workout partners?
So no, in terms of actually somebody in my room or on Zoom, I work out early in the morning. It's kind of my meditation time, and I like the alone time. So Anna is really my closest workout partner, in the fact that we have that behind the scenes, and she doesn't work out. She's kind of in her own zone as well in terms of doing the workout. So that behind the scenes connection is kind of probably the closest thing I'd call it to being my workout partner.
But it is awesome to have that, it can be any myriad of ways that you want to connect with people. And that's another great aspect of being able to share. Have you ever met Tracy?
So, not that Tracy knows that we've ever met, but I was in New York City for work. When I go to New York, anywhere I go that for work that she's got a studio, I try to get a class in. And in New York, that normally means the 6 a.m. class. So I had gone, and I decided the night before to take a walk over to the studio just to see if there was anything I wanted to buy, because I knew I wouldn't have time to shop in the morning. I walk in, it's like 7 o'clock. And I walk in the front door, and it was freezing outside, dead of winter. And I'm kind of like shaking off, how you are when you come in from the cold. And I look up, and here comes Tracy from the back, walks around the corner. She's all bundled up in a coat. She's yelling to whoever's in the back, which turned out to be Julie and several others. She clearly had to be somewhere. She was asking who was going with her, and you could tell she was in a rush. And of course, she was stunning, because she is. But it was funny because, and I tell people that, they're like, "Did you talk to her?" I'm like, "No, I didn't talk to her. She was like a woman on a mission. I wouldn't have wanted somebody to talk to me at that point." So I just proceeded to look at the leggings and watch the show, and everybody left. And I did get to introduce myself to Julie, who popped out and was going to be clearly going. She was meeting Tracy, but didn't go with the first round of folks to leave with her. So that's my closest to meeting Tracy. I had signed up for a Vitality Week in New York, one of the last ones before they became more like the more robust weekends. And unfortunately, the night before, my oldest son, got a high fever, and just horrible night. And mom guilt, was not going to get on a plane and leave him. So,
well, that's understandable for sure. Hopefully, we'll have some opportunities for at least meetups in the not so far future, but obviously we have some challenges to get through first.
Yes.
What did you think about the studio experience, and how many different ones have you been able to go to?
I've been to New York and Madrid, and I every time I get to California with traffic, it just logistically never works out, which makes me sad. But at any rate, I love it. I love the music. I love the energy. I love following a trainer for arms. You know, obviously the heat and the humidity of the floor. I live in Dallas, so I can recreate the heat and the humidity pretty well in my little cave, and I did buy the portable floor because I love the studio experience so much. But you know, you're never going to get that, the sound and the energy,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I love that. Plus, let's face it, it's super efficient. You're kind of in and out of there in like an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And
No time to think.
right, you're not gonna miss
You're
out.
not stopping for a water break for more than maybe once. So,
Yep, it is definitely nonstop. What would be your advice to someone that's new to the method?
so you know, I saw. First of all, I guess I would just say don't get so overwhelmed that you quit because, you know, to your point that it's an elite workout, it's not easy. Beginners is not easy. If you've never, I don't care what kind of athlete you are, if you've not moved like this before, you know, you sink into your hips, you sink into your wrists, you sink into your shoulders. Things hurt, they're hard, and you're like, no way, this can't, how can this work? Or you totally just, you know, half asset, if you will, and then you don't get anything out of it and you think, oh, this can never make a difference. So the first thing is, you know, kind of stick with it and follow through before you just think any of those things. It's too hard, too complicated, or not effective. The second thing is I saw a post. I can't remember if it was in the Facebook group or on Instagram, but it was about 3 months ago, and it made me so sad because it was somebody that said that they were going to take a break from the method because filming and heating the room and doing all that stuff became too time consuming for them. And they needed to go find a workout that didn't involve all of that. And the workout doesn't have to involve all of that. I mean, part of the reason that I don't film and post is because I don't know, I don't have any bandwidth left to even have to set up a separate camera or look at this thing afterwards. I got mirrors on all 4 walls for a reason, and you know, but I can't. I felt so bad because that's not a. I don't know what led that person to believe that you need all that. So my advice would be those things are all nice to have, maybe down the road. Don't worry about that. Hit play, follow Tracy, and just do it.
Yeah, that's such a good message. I saw a similar thing where someone was saying like they wanted to start the method, but you know, they had to work on like getting everything that you need first and having a space first. And it's not really about that. Like just do it. And then
Yes.
when you're in it, then you'll prioritize, you know, what you're spending extra money on will be leggings and whether you want to do
Right.
heat and humidity. But I think sometimes it's that, you know, kind of social media pressure of thinking like everyone in the Tamily does a perfect workout every day with everything set up all the time. And that's not really it. And we all have to like be in the right space in our journey. Like sometimes it's important to post every day. Sometimes it's important, you know, to do the heat and humidity every day. And other times it's not, you know, but like we're all here for each other no matter where we're at in that space.
Totally agree. And that's why you know, when people say, well, you don't post, so do you not like that people post? I have no personal like or dislike of people posting. First of all, it's fun for me to see people post. I think that's a personal choice because it's what are you getting out of it? If on the other side of it, if you feel like you have to post to be a part of or something, then that's anything in life, right? When you're not doing it from a place that's serving you, but that is, you know, then it's not, then it's always going to end up toxic. But it's, yeah, I think sometimes we see a lot of that, and you're right. It makes people think, gosh, I'm not as good as, or, you know, I'm not really one of the stars. And, you know, yes, I'm clear I'm never going to be a Tamily star. That's okay. I'm a Tamily star to myself in my workout room, and that's what matters.
Yeah, exactly. That's where we're all supposed to get with this method, is being our best self not feeling like we have to have pressure to do what others are doing.
Right. Like, look, this week I was on cloud 9 on day 3 when I got the starfish on the chair move. When it was like in there and I could flow and just do it, I did not need to post that for validation. Like, I knew I rocked at that moment because I just did starfish flippy thing on a chair, and I'm not just like flailing. I actually get it. I get the intention. And of course, thank you to Madison for telling us where, you know, what that's supposed to feel like. But then that's because that's how I'm wired. There are other people that they really do need that attachment to say, this is, it's not about validation, but they need to put it out there to make themselves feel that and so good, you know. But you know, for a new person to not show up because that all of that superfluous stuff is overwhelming, it makes me sad because they're really missing something great.
Yeah, and you know, so many times we start just with the DVD, or you know, now with streaming, and you don't have any of that other stuff. You don't have a designated space. You don't even have an Instagram, like, you know. So I think it's important for us to like send that message that that's okay. That's where we all started. You know, you end up wherever you need to end up, but the Tamly's here for everybody.
Yeah, amen.
What would be your advice to someone that is not feeling motivated to work out currently?
So I think it's two things. And, you know, again, we're all wired different, but this is kind of where I come from and what I try to share with people when they ask, no matter what workout they're doing. Because, you know, it's funny, when you are a person that people know works out, it becomes, you really start to see how a lot of people don't. And people will ask you about it because they just don't, and it seems so foreign to them that you would do this. So the two things that I share are that, number one, you've got to find your own motivation. You can't be working out for somebody else, you know, because somebody else told you to do it or somebody else thinks you need to. Quite frankly, even when your doctor tells you to. If it's not in here that you don't have a reason for yourself, you're not going to do it. So find the reason for yourself, first of all. And then don't think. I know that that sounds harsh, but I tell people, just turn the thought off. It's not a do I feel like it. Turn off the feel part of this thing at the beginning and just make it just like the thing you go do. Just go do it. Set the time and just go do it. The minute you start letting yourself think about, do I feel like this? How do I feel? Feel. I could feel myself out of a million things during the day. So that's kind of where I come from. Because then eventually you can feel. And the feel will most of the time be, I really feel like I've got to go get this workout in, right? And then even if you've been doing it like we all have for a long time, there are some days I'll speak for myself, have to turn the feel off because I don't feel like doing anything but curling up into a fetal position. But since that's not productive.
Right. And you always feel better afterwards.
Absolutely.
You know, you feel accomplished. It's fantastic. What is something that you've learned from Tracy?
You know, I love that she's unapologetically going to do what she's going to do for her workout. You know, you guys are sick of the chair? Okay, but still going to do the chair because I'm not done with the chair. Or, you know, you guys thought that fundamental was too hard? Okay, but still going to do some hard fundamentals because I think it's what you need. And I think that, you know, Tracy's not signing up for, it doesn't feel to me like, she will say, she processes out loud to me. When I hear her talking, she's one of those people that talks as she's processing, which can go two ways, right? Because some people just want to hear the final thought, and other people are okay with somebody thinking through it and kind of processing. So I know she gets pushback because, well, you said this 2 years ago and now you're saying this. But I kind of love the fact that she keeps on learning and keeps on evolving and is willing to not be so prideful that she won't make positive change because she doesn't want anybody to think she was wrong. Because in the moment, she wasn't wrong, but now the variables have changed, and so has she. And I like that, and so I think about that a lot because I can, even in my own job, I find myself then articulating that to people that, look, I know this is a different direction than where I stood on this before, but here are the things I've learned since then and why I think it's now we go left instead of right.
Yeah, yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's another way to tie the method into other parts of life. Why is your workout personally important to you?
I think it goes back to what I said earlier, just that first of all, it's kind of the time for me to process things, to get out the tension, the energy, like to really get settled for my day since I'm a morning workout person. There's so much with my job and, just family and life. We all just have a lot, right? Doesn't matter the context, it can be a lot. And I'm just one of those people that can be way too much in my own head. And if I'm way too much in my own head, chances are I'm going to make everyone around me less happy that day, whether you live with me or work around me. So it's important for me because it really somehow always I come out the other side of it, not just physically stronger, but mentally stronger and just more laser focused on what I want to achieve, how, and also the things I'm going to let roll off my back. That going into that room, I was not ready to let roll off my back.
That's an excellent point about balance. Also, know what to focus on and what to let go of.
Yes.
What is your routine around the workout? Do you always do attain or switch in intermediate and beginner? And do you do any dance cardio?
So most of the time, I would say 95% of the time I do attain. Not for any, it's just where I get the mind and the body, and most of the time that's what I enjoy. Last week when Tracy said, hey, I really want you guys to do both of these, I did both of them and I enjoyed that as well. But I like knowing what I'm doing and that process of improving it all week long. So that's primarily why I just stick with attain. But then I will say that I generally do attain, taking travel out of it for work when we're traveling for work. My perfect week is that I would do attain 6 days, and on my off day, I will do like a catapult or a catalyst, or 2 catalysts as an active rest day, just because I love dancing. During the week, if it's an intense attain, I don't do cardio. Like last week where it wasn't that intense, I actually had a little extra time, a few days, and I learned a couple of cardio dances, some of the new ones that I got behind on. I did extra catalysts or catapult on the days that I did fundamental, and I balance it like that. But then I will also say, if it's a week where I've done a super Saturday or a super Sunday, and I've done attain all week, then I will take a full rest day. And I will only do 5 days worth of the mat, and I will do like a full rest day and a day of just cardio. Just because I do, I don't like when I feel like I'm over adrenaline or my cortisol's too high and my body's just like, needs a break.
Yeah, especially those super Saturdays and super Sundays. They're amazing, but oh my goodness.
Yes, and seriously, talk about inspiration. Anybody that does both, I personally never do a Saturday and a Sunday.
Yeah.
No, it's not happening. So yeah, I love them, and I love that she did them, especially during quarantine. They helped so much with my brain, and I think in just accelerating some of my areas of opportunity that became very clear to me during those classes. But yeah, they're, when people like skip out of them and they're like, that was so easy, I'm gonna add another attain on top of that, I'm like, woo, you go girl, I am not coming.
Yeah, no way, not me. What do your friends and family think of the method?
So my family is like all in. They're so fun. My parents live in Pennsylvania, and my dad has this garage that he built next to the house, and he does a lot of gardening. So all of his gardening things are in there. He was a contractor, so all of his work things from before he retired are in there. Basically, it's like his shrine, except for my workout. When I come home, he has a special place he keeps my square 36 mat, or six, yeah, square 36 mat. He has a special place he keeps my weights, and that's my he allows me to turn the heater on to like really high and get it hot in there. And they're so funny. Every day they're like, okay, so do you want to, if you want to work out before the boys get up, or do you want me to wake you up, or can I make the boys pancakes and you can just go and we'll be fine? Like, everybody clearly knows I'm better to be around when I work out, but they also, given my health challenges and everything else, and we're an active family, they all believe in movement. So they're totally supportive. When we go on family, my brother is an avid workout person. So we talk about our individual workouts when we go on beach vacations every summer together. It's all, nobody thinks it's crazy that I come with a mat and weights and stuff. And I already told you about my boys. My husband's like, you know, he really doesn't mind that I'm half naked in leggings. So he's all for like, woo, Tracy, keep going. So it's all good. My friends, I don't know that, like, they've all checked it out because they ask about it, but I don't know if most of them know what to make out of it. And my best friend in the world is an avid refuser to work outer since we met 25 years ago. The most she's ever doing is walking. If she ever calls me and tells me I'm going to do the Tracy Anderson method with you today, I will think that the world is ending that very day. So I have yet to convert anybody. I know that is awful, but I don't know, unless somebody's converted that hasn't told me. I haven't gotten anybody on board yet.
Well, it has to be, the right time for them. Like, I mean, especially when people ask about it, I'm like, listen, I'll talk about it forever. So if you want me to stop, you have to tell me. But, I'm here to support you if you want to do it. But I haven't really converted anyone either. I've lent out a lot of DVDs I never got back. But
yeah, right? Yes, I don't have Meta anymore for that same reason. I did the same thing.
But you never know when they might have a moment and come back to you.
It's true.
What is something important to you in your life that you would want to share with the Tamily?
I think for me, I get asked this question at work all the time when I speak to groups, and my two foundational things in life are faith and family. And that doesn't mean I'm not fun. Like, it's fascinating to me how many people think that means that I never drink a glass of wine, or like, there are way too many people from my 20s that can tell you that I can be fun. Those are the things that matter most. And that's why sometimes if I don't, there's all these awesome Zoom parties going on, and I love so many of these ladies, and I love the spirit and intention of it. But I try to plan my time with those two things in line, and my job is very all-encompassing. So by the time, I get through that, it's just, those are the things that it doesn't mean I don't love other people or other things, but that's kind of where, when I say no to something, which is super important to me to be able to feel like I can, it's because those things always come first to me, and I don't feel like I'm giving anything up when I put them first. I always end up feeling better afterwards.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. That, sometimes we have to get grounded in that and know that we can put our priorities first, and definitely say no to some things.
Yeah.
So I think that you shared already that you live in Dallas, but we wanted to ask as well, where do you live and what do you do?
Thank you. So I do live in Dallas, Texas. I grew up in right outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We moved from my job before we had kids about, I think, 16 years ago now. We've been here 16 or 17, maybe 17 now. We've lived here in Dallas. did not expect it to be that long, but the boys were born here. We've enjoyed everything about it. I'm in the house today because it's 90 degrees outside. It would not be 90 degrees in Pittsburgh right now. But I worked in New York, the New York area for a long time, and Pittsburgh. I still am a Northeasterner at heart, and everybody here still says to me on 5 words out of my mouth, "You're not from around here, are you?" So I have not picked up y'all or the Southern thing yet.
Right.
At any rate, told you I moved here for my job. I've worked for FedEx for 28 years now. Right out of college, I've kind of grown up with them, and I am the head of sales for one of their operating companies. So I run a sales organization, a US-based sales organization.
Excellent. That I can imagine that was intense before the year 2020, but it's probably really been serious this year.
Yeah, everything this year seems to have just taken on steroids, good and bad, right? It's been quite the year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, I'm going to skip a couple of our questions because we are actually getting close to the end. You're so interesting to talk to, though. What are you most proud of professionally?
I think one of the things that this probably sounds crazy because it's not like any of my accomplishments or promotions or things like that. It's that people, first of all, that I've known or started with when I was an individual contributor in customer service, 28 years ago, when I run across them again and we start to talk, they will stop and say, "Wow, like you're still you. Like it's like you still are you." And the thing is, I wouldn't have told you this would be my life or my job. I never doubted myself. I was always as a child, I was very disciplined about the things I did, but my family is an immigrant Italian family. We did not have money. We had some very, very lived in Pittsburgh and didn't have money to fill the oil heater winters. So that's what I came from. And my parents still live in their house. Most of my family's still in that town, and I still feel the best when I'm there with them. So I think I'm grateful for the fact that I have not become a different person because of success or my job, which I don't think anybody should, but I meet lots and lots of people that have. So I'm grateful that I've been, plus, my family wouldn't allow it. They would be that would just not fly with anybody that's related to me. So I do have them to keep me in check. So I guess that really is the thing that I am most proud of, and that I've been able to have to help a lot of people because of my position. I've been able to help a lot of folks with their careers or different things that they want to do in life. And that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. If you could speak to your 20-year-old self, what would you say?
Woo! Yeah. I think first of all, I'd probably tell myself that it's all going to be okay. I worried so much when I was in my 20s. I was always trying to plan things, and I was never a person wired to worry what other people thought, but I was wired to wait for the next shoe to drop. Mm-hmm. Like I was always trying to make sure that bad things didn't happen. Mm-hmm. And I think I'd tell my 20-year-old self, bad things will happen, but you'll get through them and you'll be better on the other side, and you'll find people that will come out of the woodwork to love you and help you that you would never have known were there and in your corner without the bad things. So I think that's probably the number one thing I'd tell myself. And then, it's funny, one of the things that I'm inspired by, Deanna in Australia, I think her handle is Deanna Banana, but probably one of the most hilarious women in the entire world, is this idea, we are so hard on each other as women, hard on ourselves, just about physical appearance. And man, I would have told myself back then to love what I was looking at in the mirror a lot more than I did. and started it from then. So it wasn't so much hard work now, as we get older.
Yeah, exactly. Gosh. You think about how you felt then when you looked different, and it's like, I can't believe the things I used to think.
Right. And it's, for me, probably one of the most empowering things in the world. I realized I had this super long hair, like down to my waist hair. And when I got sick and lost my hair, I realized how much I used my hair. Like I hid under my hair. My hair was this tangible part of me. And letting that go and realizing that I was okay, like that time of my life really was what started to make me get out from under that obsession that we seem to have as women with physical appearance, and realizing that it's okay. And people, my husband and I would call them our angels for the day. People would come up to me in the middle of the grocery store with my bandana, bald, no eyelashes, eyebrows, and out of nowhere tell me, honey, you're beautiful. I don't know what you're going through, but they would just say the most positive things. And I'm like, that you have to, you kind of get empowered when you get out of the other side of that. Now, since the day since my hair started growing back, I have stopped using anything but a hair dryer, and only when I have to. Like, I just don't, I won't get that much wrapped into how this is all going to look anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. That's got to be a huge change of perspective. So we have a question in the chat from Alicia. She said, do you have any healthy lifestyle tips that you've learned through the years?
So yeah, but they're boring. So, I am just a huge belief in the fact that sleep and what you put in your mouth are the main things that matter. I am not married to any one way of eating, because I think your body chemistry changes over time, and you have to be really tied into what is happening when you eat things and how it makes you feel, right? So so for me, the way I feel best is eating a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, a lot of whole grains. A couple times a week, I'll have some fish or some chicken or something. I grew up on lamb. I love that food. Do not get me wrong, but my stomach no longer loves that food. People feel horrible when they eat a lot of carbohydrates. I eat great sourdough. So I eat a lot of bread, but I make it. So I eat pasta. I'm Italian. We are eating pizza as soon as I'm done here that I made and that I'm making on my pizza stone. Like, I think it's about finding what works for you, but also not lying to yourself. Like, I also had a frozen yogurt in a waffle cone this weekend because it's one of the last hot days and I wanted some frozen yogurt in a waffle cone. Yeah. So, I think it's that kind of thing. But man, I really am a firm believer in sleep. And if you don't sleep well, you got to get to the bottom of why you don't sleep well and change it, because everything goes better after a good night's sleep.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And even though, like you said, it's simple, it doesn't sound revolutionary, but it's something that, it's part of balance and wellness, and it gets minimized in all of the pressures that everyone has.
Yeah, people wear it like a badge of honor that they were up working or doing this or doing that till like 3 a.m. Yeah. I mean, okay, but I have fun again, because I'm not going to do that. Like that is a recipe for feeling like crap and getting sick.
Yep, exactly. Gosh, that's such a critical part of the getting sick aspect.
Yes, especially now.
Yes, definitely. Oh, goodness. Okay, let's see what we haven't asked you yet. Okay, so this is definitely a workout related question. What is a move from the method that you used to hate, but now you love?
Well, back to my starfish on the chair this week, wherever my weakest areas are, it has always come from side planks. And then when you do them when she starts with, Tracy starts with the whole one arm, one leg thing, I used to just get angry, like flat out angry at 5:30 in the morning, angry at this woman. Whether they were the front, um, a front high plank with a one arm, one leg, or side. I think it's a combination of balance and something that was a weak area. Plus, when I went through cancer and had my surgery, they had to remove my lymph nodes on my right side, so they cut through that muscle wall. And then my reconstruction was done with implants because I was young and super skinny at that point and didn't have enough tissue to do it otherwise. And it just threw this whole area, all the muscles, out of alignment. And I don't think until Tracy, I ever found a way to work that back. So I think when I started with her, that it all came home to roost, what a disaster that all was in terms of my muscular structure. But now I'm like, I think I still have a ways to go, but it gives me such joy whenever I can get there now. Whereas before it would be the end of the week and I would still be struggling with those moves.
That is amazing. And especially to find it in that method, it makes you think about, like, would there be any other workout that would work things in that way?
Every other workout just ended up making me look different than what my body is built to look like. So it was never, everything else I did made me more out of balance versus imbalance. It seemed to play on the parts of my body that were charged and never hit the ones that weren't. I even yoga. I mean, truly, Tracy's going to be like every other genius and artist we have, right? 20 years after she's, God rest her soul, gone, people are going to be like, this woman, Tracy Anderson, she was brilliant. I'm convinced of it.
Yep. But in the meantime, it'll just be the elite Tamily.
That's right. That's right.
Well, thank you so much, Amy, for doing this interview. It's gone by very quickly, and I just want to give a couple more minutes in case anyone has any other questions to type into the chat, and see if there was one more question. Well, I didn't ask what you're most proud of personally, but you might have kind of answered that. Is there anything else you would share from that perspective?
No, I think it's any other mom would say the same thing, right? When I look at my boys, I just think if it all ends tomorrow, they are happy. They love people. They love the Lord. They bring joy. Trust me, behind closed doors in the house, I could send them to the moon via my left foot express at least 4 times a day. But out into the world, they bring joy. They're about love. They're not judgmental. I tease all the time that they will make perfect husbands because in quarantine I have tried every living face mask known to womankind, and it doesn't even blip on their radar. They're like, oh, Mom, that one's green instead of brown, and they go right back to where they're doing. So some women someday are going to be like, yes.
Well, that's wonderful. It's been awesome to get to know you a little bit more, Amy. Thank you so much for being one of our special Tamily warriors for this month and for sharing your journey with us.
Well, I appreciate it. I know that, it makes a lot more sense for this model for you to be choosing people that have a huge following so that, but the fact that you and Nicole have taken the month to talk to women that have gone through the journey so that we can all really support Alicia and support the cause, because I think the number one thing, if people have been looking at what Alicia's been posting this week, I could not agree more, research. I think that there are just these people that think that breast cancer is done, been there, done that, cured. It's not a big deal, and it's not true. We can't give up. So I'm grateful to you both for allowing us to tell our stories, to share, and for supporting the cause.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And this interview will go right now on to Ask Tamily's page, and then it'll go on YouTube in a few days. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks. Hope to meet you in person someday. Definitely. Oh, definitely. Probably in 2021. Yes. Oh gosh, 2021 can't come soon enough. I think we all agree. Totally. Thank you. All right. Take care. Thank you. Bye, Tamily.